The evil thing is a silly guy. With many hats, he loves to try. It's a two-headed thing whom you don't wish to greet. One head is named Stephen, the other named Pete. It carries its babies in slimy eggs on its back, to coffee shops and to sales at the rack. The babies are hungry when they hatch for a snack, so the evil thing buys some cream cheese with chives to spread on bagels for those little guys. But don't worry, don't cry, please, don't throw a fit. The evil thing is not real, unless your name is Rick. That's fucking stupid. If you grew up in the late 90s or early 2000s, it's basically a guarantee that you read Goosebumps. Not me though, I don't know how to read, but I did watch the hell out of the Goosebumps TV show. The Canadian-produced TV horror anthology took R.L. Stein's books and brought them to the small screen in a way that, while cheesy as hell, was still truly terrifying to children of the time. I was born after the original run of the show, but every Halloween, Cartoon Network would air reruns, and that's how I got my introduction to the chilling worlds of Mr. Stein. Children's horror is a unique and lucrative market. Getting paid to scare children isn't something that most people would boast about. I mean, even clowns hide their face behind makeup, but I guess someone's got to do it. Now let's set the scene. It's September 2007. You're a young kid. I was only 7 years old then. And you learn that a new R.L. Stein movie is going to be coming out just in time for the fall season. You know you have to be there for the cinematic masterpiece of your young life. So finally, on September 7th, it airs. R.L. Stein's The Haunting Hour. Don't think about it. Also, saying R.L. Stein is like way too long, so I'm just gonna call him Rob from now on because his name's Rob. Now, I'll be very honest. I was fucking 7 at the time and I don't remember a damn thing. But I do remember this movie scaring the hell out of me. So, I guess Rob did a good job then. So, if you're still here and wondering why I'm reviewing a 17-year-old children's horror film, well, I've been on a recent nostalgia kick, and I've come to realize that I am definitely a victim of nostalgia. A lot of those starry memories from my childhood just don't look quite the same through 2024 glasses. So I'm going to be taking a look back at things that I am nostalgic for, and maybe you are too. And we're going to see how they actually hold up now. The Haunting Hour, Don't Think About It, follows Cassie, played by a gothified Emily Osment wearing a wig that makes her head look hilariously big on her tiny body. Cassie loves to scare people, especially her younger brother Max, who is terrified of everything. And I literally mean everything scares this child. It's amazing that he can even live. While dealing with the trials of being a 2000s teen, Cassie stumbles across a Halloween store run by Tobin Bell, who sells her an evil book which, when read out loud, summons a terrifying evil thing. Chaos ensues. Now that is a massive oversimplification, but don't worry, I'm going to get into all of it. So right now, here's your spoiler warning. It's going to flash on the screen in front of you like that. If you do not want to be spoiled on this movie, stop watching now. Okay? It's a 17-year-old movie. You should have seen it by now. And I don't want to see anyone in the comments later being like, ooh, you spoiled the movie for me. Actually, do comment that because it's probably good for the algorithm. Anyway, let's do this. The movie begins with young Max trying to sleep in his Pokemon-plastered bed, but he can't because he's scared. I'm sure young Andrew found this very relatable, especially after seeing this movie, but as an adult, this whole scene just plays like a very, very effective ad for birth control, which leads to one of the worst things about this movie. My fucking God, Max is the most annoying person I have ever witnessed, and I grew up on the fucking internet.
He's staring at me.
There you go.
Now I can't tell what he's thinking.
It's like every choice Max makes is just to piss me off specifically. I think this movie is a personal attack. But for right now, all you need to know is that Max is annoying and his parents look so fed up with his shit as he screams and they come running into his room for the third or fourth or fifth time that night.
Max, please go to sleep. This is the fourth time you've called me in here.
Third.
This is the fifth time your mother's had to come in here
It's
tonight.
the fourth time, Jack.
Third.
The parents offer to buy Max a video game if he doesn't wake them up for the rest of the night. You know, that popular game that all the kids are into right now. Ultimate Gonzago. Keep that game in mind because it's not what you think it is. Anyway, Max is still scared and having trouble sleeping, and we get introduced to our main character, Cassie, as she scares Max using a spooky glove. Typical stuff ensues. Max yells for his parents. Cassie gets a stern talking to. You know, typical stuff. And it's here we see just how goofy Emily Osment's gothification is as she walks into her quote-unquote goth room wearing her big black wig. We learn that the family has just moved to this new town, and of course, Cassie, being the goth teen she is, doesn't want to go to school because she sticks out like a sore thumb. But her parents make her go anyway. And in a theme of things I didn't notice as a kid, I really want to talk about the school's name. More specifically, the way the name is written on the front of the school. Because what the hell is this? The Knoxville Junior High School. Call me fickle, but the layout of this name bugged me for the entire rest of the movie. I took a few graphic design classes in college, and this would easily get an F by any standard. The hyphenated school is atrocious, the spacing is all fucked up, the whole thing reads like they only had the budget for one attempt at a set of windows, and they fucked them up and just went with it. Okay, I promise not to let this slow down the video. So, as one would expect, Cassie... Okay, just one more thing about the fucking windows. Can we talk about this font? It looks like it came free with a standard subscription to Microsoft Office, and a third grader might use it to put a title on a story. Trust me, I've been there. I used Chiller for every goddamn story I wrote in elementary school. Okay, that's enough. Continuing on. So, as one would expect, Cassie does stand out like a sore thumb. But we do learn that she does have a crush on the local golden retriever boy, Sean, who is currently obsessed with Chekhov's shocker pen. Trust me, that will be really funny during the third act. Cassie is busy staring at Sean, fantasizing about her black cat golden retriever dreams, but the problem is that Sean has his eyes on someone else. The local mean girl, Priscilla. Cassie gets her chance at reaching Sean when she is at lunch reading her 50 Horror Masterpieces book, which I can only imagine included Monster Blood, The Werewolf of Fever Swamp, and Night of the Living Dummy. Sean shares, while Cassie eavesdrops, that he is having trouble with his Edgar Allan Poe book report. And of course, Cassie knows all the Poe lore and proceeds to knowledge dump on Sean while offering to help him.
Poe, of course, is a seminal figure in horror literature.
You know, maybe I am just like Cassie. I mean, if someone really needed help on their Kingdom Hearts report, I would start lore dumping like crazy. This movie gets me. Sadly for Cassie, Priscilla gets in the way and offers to tutor Sean, but not before Cassie gets her whole lunch flipped on her because ha 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 ha, this is what happens in schools. Seriously though, I went through my entire education without seeing a food fight or a bully trip someone. Does this actually happen? Or was I just incredibly sheltered in public school? But this is a young adult teen movie, so of course Cassie gets upset and the whole cafeteria laughs at her, and then we cut to her at home, where she listens to edgy music and flashbacks to what happened literally 30 seconds ago. Also, I just want to get this out of the way. This movie's soundtrack kicks ass, okay? I don't know if these songs were written originally for the movie or just thrown in, but whoever picked the songs did a good job of getting the exact vibe down.
Come sit down, there's plenty of room. There's room for you right here next to me.
After a brief spat with her parents, because Cassie is a rebellious teen, she hits the town, and that's when it finally happens. The inciting incident of the movie. While walking through Knoxville, Cassie stumbles across a Halloween store at the end of a long alleyway. definitely not suspicious at all. But of course, she goes in because goths flock to Halloween like...
You know what? I'm not even gonna finish that joke.
In the store, we see our movie's antagonist. Maybe? You know, he's actually kind of ambiguous, but anyways, ooh, it's Jigsaw. I mean, Tobin Bell wearing the wig from an Alucard Castlevania cosplay. Ah, scary. Tobin Bell is just weird, and I will continue to call him by his full name because according to the credits, he is simply known as The Stranger, and I find it funnier to believe that this is just what Tobin Bell does in his time off. His store, literally called Halloween Store, is just about as scary as one would expect from a 2007 straight-to-video children's horror film. But I do want to just point out that there is a literal tarantula just wandering the place. There are plastic skeletons and rubber bats and a literal goddamn tarantula.
That seems like a hazard to have in a store. I mean, this place is not OSHA compliant.
I digress. Tobin Bell really is the worst salesman of all time.
This is the book section?
Did you want quality or quantity?
The sign says books, not book.
I'll have the S removed.
He repeatedly scares Cassie and tells her to feel free to browse the store, but if this happened, the only thing I'd be browsing for is the door. Cassie, however, continues searching the store, and eventually she comes across a spooky book, most likely bound in human flesh, called The Evil Thing. And I know what you're thinking, that is a terrible title. The book, however, is locked, and Tobin Bell tells Cassie that she can only have the key if she buys the book, which is a terrible sales pitch, because based on the cover, I would not be buying the book. But of course, the plot has to happen, so Cassie buys it.
Now, I don't want to diss Tobin Bell's salesperson abilities, but he is terrible at haggling.
Perhaps it's not for you.
How much is it?
How much would you pay?
$5?
Sold.
Okay, he takes the first price that Cassie offers, and I know so many people who would buy a flesh-bound book for way more than $5.
As soon as Cassie has purchased the book, Tobin Bell kicks her to the curb, so I think he needs to change that feel free to browse motto to feel free to browse unless you buy the specific book, then get the fuck out.
Now, I gotta address something, okay? I think Tobin Bell's character might be a pedophile. Now, just hear me out. I could be reading this wrong. Like I said earlier, I cannot read. But the way he delivers every line sounds like he's constantly flirting with Cassie.
You like scary things, don't you? It's fun to scare people, isn't it?
Well, thank you. I think I have to...
I see you like to read.
And this isn't even the only instance in this movie of an adult hitting on a minor. I'll get to that later, but just keep that in mind. Now, I bet you're wondering what could possibly be in this evil book. Well, it's basically H.P. Lovecraft's Green Eggs and Ham. And by that I mean a really forced, spooky poem. But the main gist of it is that if you read the book out loud, the evil monster is summoned. And I'm sure no one's going to read this book out loud for the rest of this movie, so everything should be fine, right? Also, it's important to note that the book itself says, the monster is only real if you think about it. So even if the book is read out loud, just don't think about it and everything will be fine, you know?
Continuing forward with the plot, we learn that there's a special school dance coming up for Halloween, where, as is the tradition, one student will be named Pumpkin Queen, and she will get to smash open a pumpkin piñata. Priscilla knows she's a shoo-in for the crown, and Cassie decides to go full PG Carrie mode and prank Priscilla by filling the piñata with cockroaches.
Now, before we get to the dance, we finally get a shot of Ultimate Gonzago, the game that Max wanted so fucking bad. And I have so many questions.
Honey, you wanted Ultimate Gonzago.
Not only am I confused by the parents having so much fun playing this, but I want to know the point. Like, why does this 2007 video game look like a 2024 mobile game? And you know exactly the games I am talking about.
We gotta talk about Max though too, because I don't think he's doing alright.
He is absolutely fucking terrified of everything, including Ultimate Gonzago, the game he literally wanted so bad.
Honey, you wanted Ultimate Gonzago.
I want a different game. It's scary.
I honestly think he really could benefit from some therapy to work through some things.
And that's not an insult. I go to therapy and it is very helpful. But the amount of shit that Max is scared of is frankly just shocking and worrying. And the fact that the negligent parents don't do anything about it makes it even worse. If anything, I feel kind of bad for Max now. Well, not that bad, he still sucks.
Cassie heads to the dance and tricks the people filling the massive pumpkin piñata to walk away, and in their absence, she fills the thing with cockroaches, which she just ordered off Amazon or something, I don't know. And then the moment is nigh. Pumpkin Queen Priscilla takes to the stage and says the most badass line of the movie.
I command a mighty pumpkin to feed my loyal subjects.
Cool.
She breaks the piñata and of course gets covered in roaches. But that isn't even the worst part.
The piñata was fucking filled with candy corn.
Listen, I hate candy corn, but I'm not going to judge people that like it. I will. But just logically, candy corn in a piñata is a terrible choice. Like, what are you expecting to happen when you break the piñata open? The candy falls on the ground, and now you've got all this unwrapped candy corn just raw dogging the floor, and that's fucking disgusting. The roaches can have the candy corn for all I care. So of course, the next day at school, everyone is making fun of Priscilla, the quote-unquote roach queen, and they keep insulting her, and I really don't think any of the insults make sense. Like, I actually paused the movie to write this one down because, what? A kid is looking at Priscilla and says,
Priscilla, I heard you're opening your own motel.
like, what the hell? Is the implication here supposed to be that she has roaches, so she's opening a motel because motels have roaches?
Well, for starters, a motel is not a signifier of quality. It is a type of lodging where the doors open outside instead of inside like a hotel. So fuck off, kid. And maybe think of a better insult like, hey Priscilla, I heard you're moving to the local dump. Like, if you're gonna insult her, please at least do it right.
So Priscilla figures out that it was Cassie who pulled the prank, and she decides she needs to get her back with a scare of her own. So, during class, she recruits her boy Sean to steal Cassie's journal, which is conveniently sitting in her backpack, which is wide open. But, oh wait, it's not her journal, it's actually the Necronomicon Children's Edition. I mean, the evil thing. And Priscilla reads the book, and ooky spooky wind noises start happening, and that's how you know shit is getting real. But anyway, they return the book to her bag, and everything continues like normal. So, tonight is the night. It's Halloween, and Cassie is pissed because her parents are going to some freaky fetish party, and she has to take Max trick-or-treating, which she begrudgingly does, and I really don't blame her for being upset. Max is a scaredy cat pain in the ass, but of course they go trick-or-treating, and I think Rob Stein really just doesn't understand what kids want, because Max finds out there is a house giving out wax lips with fangs.
And apart from knowing that no house ever gave those out when I was a kid, who the hell wants that? It's Halloween and you're excited that you're not getting candy? This feels like some dentist propaganda.
Of course, Max is too afraid to go up to the house alone to get the wax lips because it's too scary, and Cassie doesn't want to put up with his shit anymore, so she heads home and Max reluctantly follows her. Wax lipless.
Wait!
Back at the house, Cassie's mom tells her she's leaving out an unidentified piece of meat to defrost.
I only mention this because it comes up again later, so call it Chekhov's undefined meat. Actually, please don't call it that ever again.
Throughout the night, we also see clips of Priscilla and her golden retriever boy Sean preparing to pull the ultimate prank on Cassie.
Also, I just want to mention that Sean is still addicted to Chekhov's shocker pen, TM, in case you forgot about that incredibly important plot point. Also, this movie really marks its 2007-ness when it just casually uses retard as an insult.
Put that stupid shocker pen thing away. It's retarded.
Like, I know it was more common then, but this is a kid's movie, so hearing it in this, it's a little questionable still.
After the parents leave for their orgy, Cassie is hard at work on her book report, and Max comes in and wants to hear a story before bed. But not just any story. He wants to hear the evil thing because he, quote-unquote, likes scary stuff. Even though not 5 fucking minutes ago he was afraid of getting some wax fucking lips.
Read me that story. No, it's too scary. I like scary stuff. You do not.
Cassie says no because she has to work on her book report, and the little fuck Max turns off the power strip that her computer is plugged into, deleting her work. Honestly, Cassie has the patience of a saint, because at this point, I would have assaulted the child. Instead, Cassie goes the route of scaring the child shitless and summoning a demon at the same time, and so she reads him the evil thing, out loud, on the scariest night of the year. You know shit was gonna go down.
The evil thing is a gruesome beast. On living flesh, it loves to feast.
So it's then that we see some CGI leaves floating, followed by the second scariest thing, a CGI monster. Cut to a pizza delivery driver, also a pedophile, but we can talk about that later. He delivers a pizza and the lady tips candy corn because, again, this movie has shitty tasting candy. But while back on his way to the car, the delivery man gets bodied by the monster, making him the first victim. Which is kind of fucked up because he didn't even think about the monster, but whatever. So, after Cassie reads the book to Max, spooky things start to happen around the house, and Max is having a very bad time trying to fall asleep because, of course, he can't stop thinking about the monster. Not to worry, though, it isn't actually the monster this time. It's just the evil lovers Priscilla and Sean who are waiting to jump scare Cassie and record it.
What? Don't worry. Don't cry. Please, don't have a fit. The evil thing isn't real. Unless you think about it.
Which, if you think about it, is like the worst comeback prank you could possibly do. You do realize that Cassie filled a piñata with cockroaches. And the best you can come up with is jumping out and scaring her and then recording it. That is some 2011 YouTube bullshit. Which this movie actually predates, so maybe it is a good prank. Good job, movie.
With the stupid prank out of the way, Cassie goes back to her room and Max brushes his teeth, which feels a little weird because he was already in bed. It's almost like the writer knew Max was going to get out of bed anyway and just decided he would do this now. But that's not even the most egregious part here. It's the fact that after brushing his teeth, Max eats a fucking cookie, which is gross as hell. Like, I know kids will be kids, but even this kid should realize that tastes bad. Kids like Max are the reason Nintendo had to start coating their games with chemicals to make them taste bad.
Also, I realized this during my second watch through of the movie, but that cookie has candy corn on it. More propaganda.
So now that Max is back in bed and the fake scare is over, the real horror can begin. The CGI monster attacks.
Can I be real with y'all? Max is scared of fucking everything. And yet he sleeps with that monstrosity of a monkey? That's the scariest thing in this entire goddamn movie. Anecdote time. When I was a kid, just a little baby, I had this massive Curious George stuffed animal. And I don't know why, but it scared the shit out of me so much that I would have nightmares about it all the time. So much so that I still remember that damn monkey now, albeit vaguely. But that monkey that Max has takes the cake for the scariest monkey. That thing is horrifying. It looks like the goddamn mascot from that Dick the Birthday Boy meme. Who did this?
But Max is about to get some real nightmare fuel as the monster attacks. Max tries to hide under the bed while the evil thing creeps around his room. And by creeps, I mean stomps so loudly that the entire house should be shaking. I don't know how Cassie is completely ignorant to this happening, but whatever. What matters is that Max gets snatched from under the bed, and this review suddenly got a whole lot easier on my anger levels. We now cut back to Sean and Priscilla, reveling in their prank victory, although Sean seems to be having some second thoughts, and also he is tired of hanging around with the Pumpkin Queen and just wants to go to John Carlucci's party. And he makes that abundantly clear because within the span of about 3 minutes, Sean says John Carlucci's party like 6 times, saying John Carlucci's full name every single time.
John Carlucci's having a party.
Forget John Carlucci.
I'm going to John Carlucci's party. No biggie. John Carlucci's parties suck anyway.
John Carlucci must be throwing some fucking ragers if his party is worth mentioning so much. Priscilla gets to have her Oscar moment, and eventually Sean realizes how terrible she is and gets the hell out of there. But suddenly, he hears screaming, "Priscilla's in danger," and the movie actually just reviews itself for me.
Such a bad actress.
Eventually, Sean once again falls for Priscilla's wicked charm and goes back to look, only to see the monster attacking her and taking her and Max away. So it's time for him to be a hero and save the day. And by be a hero, I mean go and get Cassie's help because she's the main character of the movie. Sean gets back to Cassie's house and tells her that Max has been taken, and of course she doesn't believe him because he's already lied and pranked her before. You know, this modern telling of The Boy and the Wolf really has a lot more murder, and I think I like it better that way. Eventually, Sean invades her house and runs to Max's room, and he shows Cassie that he is truly gone. They also find some gross-ass monster come on the window, and which is not important, but I thought it was really funny to mention.
Finally, like 60 minutes into this 80-minute long movie, we get to the actual conflict. And of course, Cassie's plan is to jump straight to murder, which I'm not going to argue the ethics of, because this monster's whole MO is that it lays babies and then feeds people to those babies. So I think Cassie's right in this case. Go murder things.
With absolutely no plan in mind, Cassie and Sean set off to murder a monster. On the one hand, I applaud their bravery, but on the other hand, this is the stupidest possible thing they could have done.
While walking through the woods, Cassie and Sean began to flirt, I think?
So, you think I'm weird, huh?
Yeah, but you're nasty.
Young love.
Finally, they discover the monster's secret hideout in a well in the woods, and honestly, I don't remember how they got there or how they knew where to go, but they found it, I guess. And it's now that we finally see our monster fully. And you know what? I actually kind of like the design. It's scary in a way that kids will definitely be freaking out about.
So good job, Rob. You caused trauma for a generation of children.
Sean and Cassie try to get to the kidnapped people, Max, Priscilla, and the pizza guy, but the monster fights them off and they have to run away.
And, seeing as we are now in the third act of the movie, it's time for Chekhov's shocker pen.
The monster tries to grab them, but Sean stabs it with the shocker pen, vibrating the monster so much that
I guess it just lets go. I've actually never written the shrug emoji so many times in a script.
Sean and Cassie run away and rethink their strategy, and Cassie decides to go back to Tobin Bell's Halloween Horror Emporium. But ooh, guess what? Sean said there is no Halloween store in Knoxville. Cassie, of course, doesn't believe Sean and takes him to where she bought the book, only to find a dark alleyway and no store. But there is a conveniently placed Tobin Bell trying to rush away and leave, where we learn that Mr. Bell came to the town of Knoxville because, and I am not making this up, Cassie loves to scare people so much that her will to scare summoned him.
It was your wish to scare people that summoned me. Every Halloween, I choose the one who wants to scare people the most. This year, it was between you and a 9-year-old in Detroit. You won.
After begging for help, Cassie finally gets a clue from Tobin in the form of another shitty rhyme.
2 heads are better than 1. That's the way to get the bloody job done.
Yeah, it's stupid as hell. But anyway, Toby B drives away and Cassie has a plan. But she's gonna need some blood, which she of course knows where to get, for a reason that is very, very stupid.
Cue Chekhov's undefined meat. Sorry, I wasn't supposed to say that again, but by the time I got here in the script, I couldn't think of anything better to say. That's right though, Cassie's plan is to milk the meat for blood.
Which, if you know anything about how meat works, there's not much blood in there. Most of that stuff gets exsanguinated during the slaughtering process, so Cassie's plan should pretty much already be a failure. But movie logic, I guess, and
she fills an entire fucking vat with blood. So Cassie's interpretation of Toby's rhyme is that since the monster has 2 heads, they need to get 1 head to attack the other, which I actually guess is a reasonable deduction and not a terrible plan. and they decide to use spooky monster noises to distract the evil thing and make it think that its mate is there.
You know what it's like. You got victims to kill, but it's fucking time.
So finally, we've made it. It's final boss time. They return to the monster's lair for a final showdown, and it's about to get about as epic as you'd expect from a 2007 children's horror film that broadcast on Cartoon Network. They managed to free Max from his webby prison, because I guess this creature is like a spider of some kind, even though it looks like a two-headed demon dog, and also the evil thing's babies just look absolutely goofy as hell. In the end, though, it comes down to Max to face his fears, because Cassie and Sean lose the vat of blood, and only Max is close enough to grab it and throw it at the monster. But he can't because he's too scared.
Which, if you think about it for like 1 second, is a stupid excuse. Like, if you're scared of something, you're gonna want to get rid of it. Right? But character arcs and all that, and lessons need to be taught in this fable, so of course...
Max overcomes his fear and throws the vat of blood at the creature, causing it to kill itself, which is actually pretty brutal for a kid's film. So, the monster's dead. Time for a satisfying resolution.
So remember how I told you a while ago that the pizza guy is a pedophile? Well, after the whole event, Sean and Cassie go off, and Priscilla walks off on her own.
Eventually, the pizza guy rolls up and offers a ride, and then straight up, like, this 30-year-old man asks out this young high school girl.
Hey, you need a ride?
In your dreams.
And that's the scariest scene in the whole movie. Send that guy off to prison.
Back at the house, Cassie, Sean, and Max get out of their goopy monster clothes, and, we got another weird flirt from Cassie.
Hey, you don't look so bad in my dad's clothes.
The trio decides to burn the evil book in the fireplace, putting an end to its possible terror.
Although, couldn't any one of them just think about the monster which traumatized them and re-summon it again? Burning the book is pointless.
But alas, all is normal now. Cassie offers to help tutor Sean for his Edgar Allan Poe book report, which he accepts, and then they are off to bed for the night. We then see Cassie's parents return home after their freaky sex party, and the dad finds the book in the fireplace, so clearly they didn't do a very good job burning it. And the dad then shows the mom, and they read it out loud, fade to black. So yeah, everyone dies in the end. Happy Halloween, kids. You can die, and it's all your parents' fault.
Happy Halloween.
Also, just kidding, the movie is not over yet because we get a cool-ass music video to a song sung by Emily Osment.
Misunderstood. Everybody feels that way sometimes.
Very cool. So there you have it. R.L. Stein's The Haunting Hour. Don't think about it. And I did think about it a lot as a young and impressionable child, and the evil thing never got me. Maybe the evil thing just loves a slow burn. I guess the big question is, though, does this movie hold up? Or am I just a victim of nostalgia once again?
All in all, this movie isn't terrible. Like, has it aged well? No, not at all. But it was actually quite fun to watch, even if it's just to poke fun at it. I do actually wish this was a little bit more campy, like the 90s Goosebumps show, which is still quite fun to watch to this day because of just how silly it is. But as a horror movie aimed at children or young teens, I think it achieves its goal, so I can't fault it. If you see this one on TV, put it on. It might just be a good time.
Oh hey, what's up? I just got back from the Halloween store actually, and the shopkeeper who looked weirdly like Robert Englund sold me this book for 5 nickels and told me not to read it. And then he kicked me out. So I'm gonna read it to you anyway. Let's see what's in here. Oh, it's another poem. Roses are red, violets are blue. Please like and subscribe or the evil thing will get you. It's fucking stupid.